Has 10 institutions under its fold, offering a wide range of professional programs in engineering, aviation, automobile, management, IT, arts, and many more. 15,000 students from all across the world are being educated in its portals currently, and alumni strength of more than 50,000 working across nations. He is a mechanical engineer with management education from Michigan University, USA. He also manages a software training company in Chennai and an aviation charter company. Ladies and gentlemen, the chief guest for the evening, Mr. Ashok Verghese. Chennai wakes up to his voice. He would best love to describe himself as a radio jockey and nothing else. His passions are cycling, singing, and reading. He loves football, badminton, tennis, and squash. His favorite food is Andhra meals. His RJing style is nothing but Kolaveri style. And if you need to know more about him, you need to tune in to 98.3 FM every day morning 7 to 11 AM. He is none other than the one and only Mirchi Ajai. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ajai. He is a civil servant belonging to 1997 batch of civil services, an Indian Railway traffic officer. He is presently working as director in the infrastructure wing of the Ministry of Railways at New Delhi. He has studied humanities in Delhi University. He has been published in India. He has been published in India as well as abroad. One of his poems, The Beggar, has been included in International Library of Poetry in the United States. His poems were also selected for anthology titled Verghese, published in 2004, which is the collection of poems by few Central Indian poets. In 2012, the anthology of English poems titled The Irrepressible Echoes was published. He has been awarded the life membership of Poetry Society India. As Boys Become Men marks his debut as novelist. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome author Mr. Mukul Kumar. Request Managing Director Mr. T.S. Ashok to present mementos to the distinguished guests and welcome. I will request Chief Guest Mr. Ashok Verghese and Special Guest Ajai to unveil the book as Boys Become Men. Request Mr. Ashok Verghese to say a few words.
Hello. Good evening. Respected Chief Guest of the day, our distinguished author, dear friend Ajay. It's a wonderful day as the cyclone has left all of us to do our day-to-day things. So I must thank the God of weather for having us all here together for this momentous occasion, and I thank Ashok also for having me over for this wonderful day. So I congratulate our guest who has come all the way from Delhi to share his thoughts behind his book, which he has written. In today's age, digital age rather, I run a university where we have so many students, and the biggest problem I have is not to make the students read, but to make the staff read. So apart from what they teach, it's very difficult to make them take a book, a regular book from a shop like this, and make them read. It's a big challenge. So leave alone crossing the hurdle of making students read. So I think the element of focus in life when you read something comes into play. So I think it's a wonderful thing that Mukul is bringing back what we all started as. We all grew up reading, most of us over here, I see. But it's a challenge to make the youngsters take a book and make them read. And I think insightful books, meaningful books like we released today will make a difference for our youngsters. And I'm sure it will appeal to most of them. It's quite interesting to read as well. I wish you all the best, and we're really happy to be here. Cheers.
Thank you, sir. Request Ajai to say a few words.
Check. Very happy to be here, Mukul, Ashok, and gathering. Thank you, Ashok, for having me on the store. Wonderful place. Love the bookstore. I was just saying, even if you want to buy it or not, when you walk into a stationery bookshop, or the smell makes you want to buy. So I was saying I'll make a list of things that I want to take from here. So I was just going through the book which was sent to me. Being an Ajai, we need to read a lot. I don't know what I read, but I do read often. So I went through your book, and Mihir and Mukul. Is there a lot of similarity? Because Mihir Kumar, so Mukul Kumar, was it your life that you... Maybe? Parts of it, at least?
Yeah, part of it means my personal experiences have definitely gone a long way in molding this character. But of course, it remains a fictional character. But not many personal experiences are there in shaping of this character.
Being in service, it's a safe way to say that it's fictional. Angle. Very nice. As boys become men, boys will always be boys. How many of you feel that it's true? Boys will always be boys. As much as we want to grow up, when we are in our teens, we think that we want to grow up. But after we grow up, after a certain point, we miss a lot of things that suddenly we just pass forward at life. We miss a lot of elements. I'm feeling like, so in the book, there's a confusion. Serious job. I wanted to become this, but after becoming this, what am I missing? I'm missing so many things that I wanted to do, my passion. So me being a radio jockey, I studied to become something else, but my passion is what I follow. So a lot of people come and tell me like, you're lucky. Grass is greener always on the other side. It's not as easy as you think. So it's a great book. I urge all of you to pick up a copy. It's on sale. It's on the shelf. Promo content. Buy it from Odyssey today when you go.
Do it on air also.
I'll do it on air also, promise. And Ashok Sonamari, in the digital world, to get people to actually pick up a book itself is a big task. My grandfather was an educationalist. He had a habit. I'm not just saying it or making it up to say it here. His habit was to carry a book every day, everywhere, wherever he goes, he had a book in his hand. He was within the education department, so he had lots of books. He had a mini library at home. His habit was, he will go leave a book at his relative's place, or he can be at an event, he can be at a function. Whether he carries his purse or not, you can be rest assured he will never leave his house, leave our house without a book in his hand. And he used to leave a small note, read and pass it on. I see a lot of coffee shops and a lot of bookstores having that concept inbuilt today. He did this in the 60s and the 70s. And to see the concept today being inbuilt in a lot of stores, it's a very... Very bad that I didn't follow his footsteps. Maybe I'm doing something else different. It's nice. So, even if you're not carrying a book everywhere that you're going, pick up this one today. Okay? Alright, Mukul? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Request the author to talk about the book and share his experience of writing it, followed by a discussion about the book and its subject with the special guest.
First of all, I extend my thanks to Mr. Ashok, Odyssey, and the people who are there to encourage me. Being the first time author, you were always in the self-doubt and apprehensive also how to be taken up, how to be received. Talking about this book, of course, I would have liked this session to be interactive, but anyway, I have given the open floor to speak about my own book. First of all, I would like to share my experiences, how it came, how this idea germinated in my mind. Of late, naturally, it happens to each and every one of us that at some time we feel that something is missing in our life. that humdrum, that routine, that tragedy that sets in. And that is the time when travels in, explores one's inner self, and try to do something which lends some sense of completeness. With me, I have been fortunate that I have been pursuing this writing along my career since I started into service. I shared with many people here that I used to scribble verses even when I was a student in school. That discovery was not a challenge for me. The main challenge was pursuing this passion. This writing, of course, is still discovered for me as a country. And in 2012, over the years, the poems which I had written, I published a collection. Still, I was feeling that something is incomplete, and for quite some time, this idea of writing fiction had been ruminating in my mind. And when I came to Delhi, suddenly the passion started knocking at my heart so hard that I took to writing this fiction. And this journey was very challenging as far as the managing time is concerned. But let me share with you, this challenge involved real thrill, I'm telling you. I really rediscovered what it means to feel happy. And like I used to come from the office, my typist I especially used to call him, keep him waiting at home so that that fatigue and that inertia doesn't grip me, doesn't immobilize me. And his mere presence, and after half an hour I got into the process. It was sheer pleasure. And weekends, of course, have been a great help. Oh, it was like a very raging passion. I can, the only word which can describe is zunoon. Like waking up in the middle of the night with some ideas and jotting them down on the paper, going for the evening walk and suddenly gripped with the idea, calling my daughter that, okay, you wrote down this and this. All such experiences have been so magical, I'm telling you, that this journey has been absolutely wonderful. As far as writing this novel, then context first, I would like to reflect upon the context and the plot. That when you start missing the kick in your life, then you first, when a writer takes to write, then he himself is the character which he recognizes the most, whom he recognizes the most. And normally, for the first time writer, the plot comes from own experiences. You can call it autobiographical also. That kick was missing in life, and then I looked back into my past and thought, when I used to feel that kind of kick, then suddenly that boy sprang up in my mind who was pursuing the challenging goal of civil services. Like that was the time when you have fixed certain goal in the mind and you are very passionately chasing it. So that is how this story came into my mind. And but as a writer, the storyline is one thing. Is the story of three boys who are studying in Delhi University, who have migrated from Bihar. So that way the storyline explores the theme of college life and leaving home and adjusting to the new environment. Then young that they are, naturally romance is the integral part of the life of a young man. And but as a writer, what is very special to me, and when I look back at this journey, what has been most satisfying is that this novel has been able to carry along the elements of history and philosophy and religion, and which I consciously did because these three boys are from the background of history, and the conversation amongst them, it very naturally many questions emerge in their mind. I use those questions and the conversation amongst them to reflect upon certain philosophical things, certain perspectives of religion, certain perspectives of history. Like what is history, what we read is actually true or not, what is the difference between the reality which is being paraded before us and actually the truth. All such things make the book really very multi-layered and interesting. As a writer, it's very uncomfortable to talk about my own creation, but this has been certainly very satisfying. Another very satisfying aspect has been, like it never struck my mind when I was writing this novel. Like Times of India, came out with this that Upamanyu Chatterjee's English August was a much acclaimed novel written by a civil servant. Then Times of India came out with this, discovery that the first time a bureaucrat has reflected upon the pre-services domain, and that domain had not been read in the literature, in the literary arena. So that was another source of satisfaction for me. And when I look back at this journey, I'm really thrilled.
So how much time it took for you to finish this?
exactly the day one when I started that, okay, this is going to be the first page of my fiction. That was somewhere in the end of December 2014. And the day I sent the synopsis to Rupa Publications, that was 29th May. I still remember the date. This being my first book, I remember each and every milestone. But that is almost more than almost a little more than 5 months.
So can we say that another Dil Chahta Hai or 3 Idiots is making?
That's why I told you I will not equate it with any that kind of novel, like coming together of 3 friends. And this is all a very different book in itself, a cocktail kind of thing. And the weight is lent by that philosophical aspect, perspective of history, religion, and all such things. This lifts the book a bit above all this.
Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open for questions. If you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand. We will get the mic to you.
Yeah. Sir, my name is Ganesh. I am lecturer in media in SDNBU Ashok College. So I would like to ask you, like when you take the boys to the men, have you considered like what they have encountered? You said you have talked about history, philosophy, and religion. So have you taken them through like stages, or you have taken them through the various phases and how they experienced it among various people and all that? And also I would like to ask you, in what context you put up the 3 boys? Okay, what kind of a background do they have? That means in terms of rich, poor, what do you call, middle class, upper class, and religion or something like that. So you've discussed those backgrounds and all that.
Coming to the first part of your question, whether their journey has really been from boy to man, definitely, you know, they are at a stage. They have come out of the college, and when you come out of the college, you step into the world where you seek the means of your survival. That ultimately, that moment you are hit that, okay, now I have to create something my own self. Your material ambitions are very different, and you fix up a goal and you start pursuing it. Whatever be the goal, it varies from boy to boy, and that takes you. That is the phase of transition. That is the phase of transition. And when you fix up a goal, your expectations of the family, your response to the expectations of the family. This dynamic is, I think, very well nuanced in this novel, and that is one of the definitely very critical factors for shaping up your personality. How you perceive your parents, how you perceive your family, how you perceive their expectations, how you perceive to return their sacrifices. I think this particular aspect has been very well detailed in this novel. Other aspects, definitely a very interesting characters, Mihir, Uday and Sandeep, like this balance between ambition and love. That is the phase of transition. Like one boy, Sandeep, is there, who always likes to strike a middle course in his life between his family and love, between love and his career. You see how different is the character of Uday. Like, Sandeep, ultimately his perception toward love is that I have to marry that girl. That is why he always creates a backup to the civil service. He is very consciously pursuing his post-graduation, and he qualifies for JRF because he knows that in civil services is always a slippery ground. And he creates a backup. His family is not supporting his marriage with that girl. So that is why he is trying to gain the financial freedom so that he could marry the girl he loves. See Uday, he is in love with a girl, and though his attitude initially is very flirtish kind of boy, he doesn't believe in having only one affair and repeatedly marrying the girl he loves. But ultimately, when he feels drawn to that girl from his heart, then also he is completely torn between his mother, and because he has lost his father when he was a very young child. His attitude towards love was that no. Howsoever, I am attracted to the girl, but I am going to marry as per the choice of my mother, because he has seen his mother struggling struggling bringing them up when they were fatherless. That attitude again, that is the hallmark of when you are forming attitude towards your love, towards your family, how to balance between your love and the family. Mihir, another third character, a very unique character from very different from these two. He is so passionate about his ambition that he is scared of falling in love. A girl is attracted to him, but he thinks that the moment he gets into that sentimental hanky-panky, that is a phrase, that is jargon which has been used very interestingly. So, do you think like these three boys are having three different attitude towards love, towards ambition? Uday is a very confident boy about civil services. He thinks he is the only amongst the three who has got through in the first attempt up to the interview. But he couldn't make it in the interview. But he is so confident about his approach towards civil services that after his second attempt he thinks that okay, I can't improve any further. He gives up. He takes to any other vocation. This is the personality formation towards love, towards ambition, towards family, and what you are ultimately going to be in the society, what means of survival you are going to ultimately adopt. Mihir, on the other hand, is a boy who thinks that okay, let me only pursue civil services. If this is I am passionate about it, I am going to make this as a source of of my livelihood. In case I am not there, he is so passionate about his writing even as a student that he thinks okay, I am not able to make it in the civil services, then I will pursue my writing. That is the very, I think, I'm really happy that you asked this question. That gave me the opportunity to reflect why this title as Boys Become Men. These three boys are really at the crossroads, and ultimately their personalities have been shaped in that corridor. Coming to the second part, can you please repeat that again?
I had asked about have you played up themes like the conflict between the rich and the poor, or religion, caste, or communal, various other societal problems prevalent in contemporary social situation, or something like that.
These three boys are purely from middle class background. Middle class background means they felt always compelled to create a niche for themselves in society. They did not hail from the family where if they don't do anything, they can fend for themselves. They were answerable to their family because they are living away from their home. They felt answerable. Even the family doesn't question you, that is a moral, kind of pressure which you feel upon yourself. Religion, coming to religion part, it has not been directly some communal issues have been discussed in the novel. I will give you an example in what context I spoke of religion getting woven into the plot. Like these three boys are studying about the West Asian history. West Asian history is a very, to read it is a very terse kind of reading, because it starts from the migration of Jews, and then how various empires vied for power, like Abyssinians, then Abbasids, then Islamic Empire came, Persian Empire, then Babylonian. Then power was shifting so fast, and then it involved a lot of destruction, lot of bloodbath, lot of human life. That reading is very terse. They are just reading it for their post-graduation, and they are feeling okay, we are compelled to give more time to this particular paper, because they are preparing for civil services. Any time going away from civil services really pinches them. That is the opportunity I have taken to reflect, okay, this boy ultimately Mihir is answering a question and about the socio-religious significance of this West Asia in the religion, in the domain of religion. Then he writes on his own. He is pitched with this question in his question paper. When he goes to MA, he is ill prepared. Then he answers the question, and that answer has been conceived in a way where the writer's perspective on religion, like messianic religions, were three, which all of them emerged from West Asia, like Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. These three religions are called messianic because they are based upon the concept of messenger prophet, Jesus Christ, Islam, and then Abraham in the case of Judaism. Then this fellow says that a lot of destruction and bloodbath was there. These people were not messengers as such, divine messengers as such. These people talk sense, stop bloodbath, stop violence. But man won't listen to man unless it is sanctioned with some kind of divine force. So there is a very rational, reflection upon religion. That rationality, this book talks about rationality, and this book talks about the divinity when the reason is stretched up to the optimum limit. This Meher always says, let the reason, let your rationality get stretched up to the optimum level. After that, what you can't explain, from there the domain of the divine starts. This is one example. How I have tried to reflect upon, like history also, that is same way. Upon history, what we read, like history when there is example of Akbar. Many times we feel the facts to the contrary of the truth are always available in history. But when we fix up, okay, we have to project Akbar as a secular king, then we will try to discover from our archives the facts which will prop up that particular truth. Though there are facts contrary to that this particular truth. Like that, this book takes you into the takes you deeper into the things, and I call it the celebration of reason and rationality in man.
Thanks.
Any more questions?
Are you planning a sequel on this? The second question that is, the three boys, would they be turning to the reader, the other side? Are they feeling slightly shy, facing the wall and not us with the sequel?
Facing the wall, facing the wall, is symbolic of looking back into the past. Looking back into the past, and though all of them are not looking back, Mihir on behalf of the other two is looking back into the past and trying to create that old world in which they lived. Sequel, as far as sequel is concerned, I am already done with the manuscript of a novel which draws the two main characters from this particular novel, Mihir and Jyoti. And their chemistry, as a writer, I felt that their chemistry needed to be developed further. And I have written that story of love. I don't call it a love story. The story of love, because love has been treated in a very different way. Very different.
So you're saying a sequel is up? It's coming up sometime?
Sequel, exactly, that will make an independent reading. But characters, of course, and a bit of the first book will definitely be there. But it will not, the reader will not feel that, okay, if you have not read the first one, you can't understand, you can't comprehend the second one.
So the next cover page, the boys will be facing the
No, the next cover page, the most probably only a boy and a girl will be there. Boy and two girls will be there.
Mukul, since the focus of the book is about civil services and all that, and you being a civil servant yourself, and what's been the journey post, becoming a civil servant? Is there something like validation of all the work, all the effort that's been put in for becoming a civil servant? Because general perception of the civil servant is not that charitable. So how do you see that connection with in relation to the preparation, the aspiration, and all the efforts that people put in to become a civil servant?
Yeah, I'm not, at the outset I would make it very clear, I'm not trying to validate anything. It is a very, this novel when I wrote, when I look back after finishing, I treated it as a rendition of my heart, I'm telling you. I wrote it from my heart. And my own experiences, let me share with you, have been completely unadulterated, not adulterated with any extraneous consideration that, okay, I am going to achieve this objective of telling the boys that what it takes to be a civil servant. No, because even I think most of the people would agree that even one becomes a civil servant, one is not, skilled and equipped enough to tell very conclusively how you should study and what exactly it takes to be a civil servant. I just took the readers into that domain where really they should realize that what it takes to be a civil servant, because that area is not illuminated. And it was, again I'm telling you, it was not a concept goal. I told you when media came out with this, that first time a bureaucrat is writing about 3 services days. It was not a concept goal. It just came from my heart. I wrote, and all these things are being talked in retrospective, manner.
Ashok, I want to ask you, because you deal with students all the time, boys and girls. Do you see that some sort of stereotyping we are trying to do with boys, the gender? I mean, whereas much of what Mukul says would also be true for girls.
They're two different beings altogether. To two different beings altogether. I don't think you can draw much of a parallel as far as this story goes. The truth and travails which a youngster goes through as a boy is much different. And today, there are a lot of distractions for youngsters. So, drawing a focus is sometimes difficult. But they are no less talented than what we were all before. I would say they're more talented because they have access to a lot of information, data. It's all their, fingertips. And like how Ajay said, his grandfather used to carry a book. We carry a digital package with us all the time, more so than them. So access to information is there, but it's the question of focus. Can they focus what a reader focuses on a book like this? But you cannot focus as much as you can on a book, but you cannot focus as much on a digital page. You lose focus because so many things are in your face all the time. So that's what it is.
Final question.
You were talking, I'm intercepting, you were talking about some gender stereotyping. Gender stereotyping, the title suggests as boys become men. But the story of three boys, like the main protagonists of course boys are there, but I told you, all of them have, love in their life, romance in their life. That way, three girls are also, running along this plot. So, title may suggest so, but the plot is absolutely carrying both males and females characters.
Final question I want to ask Ajay. You sort of have the pulse of, your listeners, pulse of the population, vague population. Do you see a north-south sort of divide? Because you're talking all about Switzerland, whereas here you don't have the interest pursuing or thinking about civil services as a major goal.
Okay, so in India, I've seen a lot of IAS academies that are coming out, civil service aspirants. Near my house, there are 2 academies that have come. I see children coming in as early as 4 a.m. and lining up, like 50-30 people who come so early in the morning, and I see them throughout the day. So there is a lot of, I don't see a north-south divide in terms of, actually I was just telling Mukul that one of my uncle works with him in Delhi in this thing, he's an IAS. So civil service, India, I think we are more, Namada Jasti Menigre, not the more intelligent people are also from south, Abdina Solno. No.
In north we know to be, significantly more intelligent than
you see the divide, right? Divide
I'm not telling it in a lighter way, but in north the general perception is that people from south are really brilliant. Really brilliant.
Yeah, so there's no difference. End of the day, we're all one and we're all working for one direction. So I don't know if that's it.
But it was good to see the divide.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
I'm reading something about the poem, The Beggar. Can you say something about it? I'm sorry, I'm not read the Beggar, the poem.
I am not carrying my collection of that book. I am not carrying. But Beggar is a poem again which is born of the actual sight. And the actual sight was like I happened to have my eyes fixed upon a beggar in a market, and both his hands and limbs are not there. Both his limbs and hands are not there, and he is the begging ball is tied to the amputated hand, and he is just rolling, because you can imagine what kind of locomotion would be there for a man who has neither his hands nor his legs. And then I am seeing that that begging ball is tied, and people are just walking by, people are just passing by without any attention to that beggar. My eyes fell upon it, and something impinged upon my sensibility, and this poem came. And the crux of this poem is saying the symbol which I have used, like stones raining into his ball. Coins, instead of the coins, stones raining into his ball. Nothing is being put into his ball, but stones is the symbol of the heart, which is devoid of any compassion. So this poem was widely appreciated. I had sent it to that through a site. I had sent it to the United States. They had included it in their copy edition.
Yeah, that's why I asked you.
Yes. This poem happens to be here in Mumbai. I think I sent it and it is there. I will read it out. A beggar, limbless, armless, the fragments barely clad, the begging ball tied to the loose end of one arm, rolls over the pathway along the garment shops. The garment shops are there and he is bare. See that stark contrast. And stomachs out, some cacophonous score, he is singing also. And stomachs out, why stomachs out? Because that score from him is emerging from the hunger. That is simple. His stomachs out, some cacophonous score, which is drowned into the clatter of stones raining into his empty ball. Clatter of stones raining into his empty ball. Yes, that is the symbol of the heart.
Yes, sir.
Sir, do you adopt any special technique in your novel, just like a stream of consciousness and other various techniques novelists are using it? Do you adopt any special technique in your novel?
Before answering your question, would you like to ask, have you read my novel? You have not read, but still I am really thrilled that you use the term stream of consciousness. The stream of consciousness, though I have not adopted, I am not a student of literature. I am not very well versed with the technical things in the literary arena. But of course my father has been a professor in English and I have grown listening to people like Shakespeare and Tolstoy and such people. The stream of consciousness, of course, I know a bit because he talks very fondly. My father talks very fondly, and this is a technique in which suddenly the plot is moving, the character gets lost into his mind. He starts thinking. It happens to us also. Most of the time when we are acting, many things are going on in our mind. That flux of mind, that is called a stream of consciousness, but you capture that flux of mind. Of course, in this novel, unconsciously, because that was not giving me satisfaction, that unless I write about the mind of especially the protagonist Meher, who is a very thoughtful and intense kind of guy, so naturally when he acts, very thoughts are there in his mind. And it was very thrilling as a writer to capture that flux of mind. So that particular thing has come, and I think again it has been highlighted by the media that it is counted as one of the remarkable features of this novel. Besides that, I think this novel proceeds in a way general fiction does.
Okay, before I close, I would request Ajai to say something and make this place.
Sing a song, huh?
I was thinking someone asked me to sing a song, or not since national anthem is being mandatory. I thought you were going to ask me to do that.
It's actually 7:30, so but it's evening, so
Yeah.
we'll do something.
You want me to entertain the crowd?
Sure.
Evening show. Usually I speak early in the morning at 7, so I wake up the city. Like you said, people read very less nowadays. There's too much of distractions. They don't focus on one thing. And even if we do, we are carrying a digital which keeps popping out with so many things. Multiple interactions keep happening. So to get this audience to do something, என்ன பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்றது கொஞ்சம் பார்க்குறேன் நான். நிறைய distractions இருக்கு நம்மள சுத்தி. பார்க்கலாம். I think we've done for the thing, no? Maybe you want to speak about the book. Can I ask you that MK, are you the MK? No, you're not. That you've made it very clear. Because, very diplomatically, there's a lot of things which is said in the book that, like, there's a minister and in the minister there's a favor, but then this MK person is not in the times, like, he has not given any favors to anyone. He's very straightforward. So when he's looking for a favor, so adala when I was reading, I was actually picturing you. I don't know why, but I had to, so.
Because the context is so similar that anybody would get the first impression, that way. So I think you are highly justified in forming that impression.
Are you going to write something about the railways? Being in the railways, do you see not the north-south divide? Are the trains better in the north than the trains?
At this juncture, I have not thought of reflecting about railways, talking about my service, actually service experience. I am writing about other things, but I hope that this strikes me as a point of time.
A lot of things goes through our mind when we write a book, and like you said, when you are the author, A lot of parallel characters keep coming in, instances from your life keep coming in. It's a mini romantic kind of, a lot of girlfriends come in the book. Like if you read the book, you'll know. So what are the thoughts? And you also mentioned that your family was a big support and your wife was a big support. So when you were writing about the girlfriends and the love and all that, how did that?
I think...
You're sweating.
But let it remain the part of the fiction because I can't say that Ruchi is my wife. So from both ends I am talking. But of course, this has, let me confess that Ruchi definitely forms a part of what has been transpiring between me and my wife. It is not completely removed from the film.
It's not totally removed from the film. Diplomatica வந்து அந்த எப்பலாம் fiction சேர்க்கறாரோ அப்பவே நமக்கு தெரியும். அங்க ஏதோ ஒரு fiction இருக்கு. Okay, thank you so much. I won't take much more time.
But before I close, I think two of my very senior railway officers are there, and with one of them I have worked for quite long when I was posted to Bhusaval. So I would request before we close that both the officers at least come on the stage and say a few words as an encouragement.
Are you also writing books?
I don't think so. That's not my area. Okay, just for introduction, I am Sushil Vavare. I belong to Indian Railway Services of Electrical Engineer, 1982 batch. It's just, I'm feeling proud today. I've seen a different Mukul Kumar today. He joined, I think, when he joined Railway Services after his training, he was posted in Nagpur Division. And I know Mukul as a very good cricket player and a very romantic person, let me tell you. So I know he used to be a good bowler, medium pacer, and also opener batsman. We played cricket a lot. I used to be sports officer. And thereafter, we worked together in Bhusaval division also. I was additional DRM and he was senior DRM. In his work also, he was really very, very hard working and involved in the work. But this is the particular quality of Mukul Kumar. I never imagined. And I am really seeing a different Mukul Kumar, which I admire. I wish him all the best. And I will definitely read his novel. He has been telling me when I go to Delhi and visit him. He said he is going to launch a book and I was waiting for that. So today is the day. All the best, Mukul. And would like to see more books from you. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Verghese, Mukul and Ajai, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Anant Raman. I'm Chief Operations Manager, Southern Railway. Yesterday I got this wonderful call from Mukul saying that he's written a novel and it's getting showcased in Odyssey this evening. As the senior most officer in this part of the country, I thought I have to come and encourage my youngster. And the way he spoke about his work clearly sort of brings out what a command he has and what he has done. And I'm not only proud of him as a novelist, I'm also extremely proud of him as a service mate and railway officer. And as a husband of a wife who reads books, I know what it is to write a book. It's no mean task. It takes the Mickey out of you, as it were. And I wish you many more successes in future. And I look forward to reading your pleasure.
On behalf of Odyssey and Rupa Publication, we would like to take this opportunity. We would like to take this opportunity to thank Chief Guest Mr. Ashok Verghese, special guest Ajai, and author Mukul Kumar for being here with us this evening. We would also like to thank all of you for making this evening memorable. We hope you have enjoyed the event as we have done hosting it. Author will now sign copies of his book. Copies of the books are available for sale. You can get it billed and get it signed by the author. Thank you. Have a great evening ahead.
Thank you.